Standard form. We are coming to the end of this section. Just got a few more little things we need to do. Please take notes. So you're going to go and call this standard form, put this in your notes book, and you're going to put down what I put up here in your notes book. So standard index form or scientific notation, they're the same thing. This over here is an example of standard index form. You'll notice that this number here is always between 1 and 10. So if you have a number, for example, you have 10.2 or 63.1, then that's not standard index form. It has to be between 1 and 10, or if it's negative, between -1 and -10. It has to be smaller than 10, not equal to 10. So the biggest possible number it can be is 9.999, and the smallest possible number it can be is just 1, right? The next thing you have is you always have a 10 to the power of something, right? So you are supposed to know what this means. This means 3.798 times 10 squared. And you're supposed to understand that that's the same as 100. So if I've got 3.7 and I times it by 100, I'm going to end up with that. So this is the number 379.8 written in standard index form. Okay. So your aim is going to be for this section is to write ordinary numbers into standard index form or scientific notation, and then go backwards and write them the other way. And you're also going to learn to multiply and divide, but not all of that today. So your aim today is just to learn how to write things in standard form and to go backwards and forwards. Now I'm going to show you the official way that this is written for standard form, but you don't have to worry about this too much. So in other words, for standard form we have A times 10 to the B. A is always a number between 10 and 1. It can equal 1, but it should be smaller than 10. Or alternately, A is smaller than -1 and should be bigger than -10. It basically just means a number between 1 and 10. Okay? And then A and B are both elements of integers. We're expecting them to be non-fractions. So you're not going to, for example, have your standard form as 6 times 10 to the 0.5, right? Not that. We want this to be a non-fraction. Okay. So that's basically what the format is. You just have a number between 1 and 10, and you have it times 10 to the something. So to give you some examples, say I have 65, right? And I want to write that in standard form. Then that is going to be equal to, so this is ordinary form. And standard form is going to be 6.5 times 10, isn't it? That's fine. Has to be a number between 1 and 10. 6.5 is between 1 and 10. And this is to the power 1. It's an integer. There's no problem. You don't have to show the 1, right? All you have to do is look and see, oh dear, a little interruption over there. Hopefully it'll go. Go. Okay, all you have to see is where the old decimal place is and where the new one is. So the new one is between the 6.5, the 6 and the 5. The old one is there. That's going to be 10 to the 1. So this would be a bit silly. If we were taking small numbers and we decided to write them like this, this would be just basically a bit silly. Why would you bother? So basically, this is because sometimes you have very, very big numbers, and then it's very awkward to write them in another format. So say I have got, for example, 170,000, right? Then this becomes a bit more useful. Then I've got 1.7, and then this is my old decimal point was there. My new decimal point is there. So this is going to be times 10 to the 5. You're literally counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You probably know that if you've got 1 million, that this is 3 times 10 to the 6. Maybe you know that. Maybe you've seen that somewhere. Again, there's our new decimal point. There's our old decimal point. We've got 6 places between it. Very, very important is that you are not allowed to change the number. So, for example, if I've got 675,000 let's make it 0.5, right? When I turn it into standard form, this should be 6.750005 times 10 to the, and remember we're going between the old decimal point and the new decimal point. So this is times 10 to the 5, right? You don't go and change the number. You don't go and round off. They might ask you to round it off to 3 significant figures, then you can round off afterwards. But unless they ask you to, it stays the same number. If I've got 167.23, hopefully you can see this is going to be times 10 to the 2 because this is hundreds, right? You're going to write it down as 1.6723. The new decimal point is going there, the old decimal point was there. This is times 10 to the 2, and it makes sense. Because if you times 1.6 by 10 to the 2, you're going to get 100. If you go and you just count the numbers and you say times 10 to the 4, then you're telling me my original number was 16,000, which it just wasn't. So all you're going to do is you're going to count the decimal places and then you're going to add it in. I'd also like you to be able to go backwards. So for example, you've got 7.03 times 10 to the 3. Then you need to know that this is the same thing as 7, and then 3 places after the 7. 1, 2, 3, right? So again, if we count the distance between the old one and the new one, there's the old one, right? There's the new one. It's going to be 3. If I've got negative 60, let's make it 65.8. Well, I'm doing it the wrong way around. Let's forget negatives for the time being. I'll put some in a minute. Say I have 5.348 times 10 to the 8, right? That means I write down 5 and then 8 places after it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And if I've got negative 6.89 times 10 to the, let's make it 4, then that would be negative 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. I hope that's sort of making sense. And just to show you a negative one of the other ones, if I've got it in exponential form and I've got negative 6.51 times 10 to the 2, there's no problem. That just means it just means negative 6.51 times 10 times 10, doesn't it? So negative times by positive is still negative, times by another positive is still a negative. So this is going to be just negative 651. There's no problem the fact that it's negative there. I hope this will be okay. I'm going to set you some work to convert. This is a single day lesson. We'll see how it goes.